In Star Trek, there is something known as the Prime Directive. Quoting from Wikipedia, in the fictional universe of Star Trek, the Prime Directive is the guiding principle of the United Federation of Planets. The Prime Directive, used in 5 of the 6 Star Trek-based series, prohibits Starfleet personnel from interfering with the internal development of alien civilizations. This conceptual law applies particularly to civilizations which are below a certain threshold of technological, scientific, and cultural development, preventing starship crews from using their superior technology to impose their own values or ideals on them. Since its introduction in the first season of the original Star Trek series, it has served as the focus of numerous episodes of the various series. As time travel became a recurring feature in the franchise, the concept was expanded as a temporal prime directive, prohibiting those under its orders from interfering in historical events. In this video, I'm going to discuss how the Prime Directive relates in an interpersonal manner, especially when it comes to objectivity, boundaries, influence, and the Prime Directive, because there actually is something known as the Prime Directive, or a concept similar to it, in the mystical arts, especially in regards to how higher beings, angels, etc., especially benevolent ETs and other higher beings, are allowed or allow themselves to work with us. They do not interfere, but they are allowed to influence. So if this is something that interests you, stay tuned. It is not fair-minded nor objective to lower our standards of thinking to engage with those who are prone to closed-mindedness, or in the midst of an emotional bias causing them to engage us with motivated reasoning. Meaning, we do not need to dialogue with, nor consider, closed-minded, biased, one-dimensional, irrational, and judgmental perspectives in order to remain fair-minded and objective. Engaging with the biases and closed-mindedness of others enables their poor thinking and wastes our energy, while it also fails to allow them to experience the natural consequences of their poor thinking. When we practice non-interference and allow them to experience the natural consequences of their thinking, they are more capable of learning from their mistakes. However, when we interfere with their thinking, feelings, or behaviors, we become an authority figure that they will resist and fight, nor will they be motivated to seek out the actual causes of their problems, which is contained within their own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. When we save them from their natural consequences, they will become entitled to our continual energetic support and rescuing, which is unsustainable by us in the long term. It is not our responsibility to engage with, improve, or correct the poor thinking of others, nor to rescue them from the natural consequences of their poor thinking. We lose our leverage and forfeit our ability to influence people when we attempt to interfere with their poor thinking, or when we rescue them from the natural consequences of their poor reasoning. However, we maintain our leverage and influence when we let them experience the natural consequences of their poor reasoning, and are available to them as a neutral advisor and guide should they choose to consult with us. By expecting more from our exchanges with others, we empower them to rise up to our standards of thinking, and thus allow them to be inspired by our objectivity, fair-mindedness, and emotional neutrality, rather than playing us for the fool and manipulating us with our desire to be objective, fair-minded, and emotionally neutral. This is a natural boundary that we must clearly set within ourselves and enforce with extreme prejudice. It is not that we are setting a boundary on their thinking, feelings, and behaviors, but on our own thinking, feelings, and behaviors in relationship to them, as we clearly identify to ourselves under what circumstances we will choose to engage them. When we maintain our standards of thinking, and maintain our clear boundaries about how we will and will not interact with others, we will never again find ourselves in compromising situations, and we are free to be who we choose to be and do as we please. In this way, we are not beholden to anyone or anything, which is what it means to be a sovereign and empowered individual. Influence and the Prime Directive. Remaining a neutral observer in a conflict does not mean that we are to be emotionally detached, but rather that we are to use our positive influence to empower the participants to come to a solution from within themselves. It is important to realize that influence does not equate to interference, as interfering in the development of others is not empowering, but rather enabling. On the other extreme is a tendency to emotionally disconnect from conflicts, but that is just the opposite extreme of enabling and is not neutrality. We should not interfere with the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of others, nor emotionally disconnect from them, but make the necessary insights, tools, and ingredients available that will empower their own discoveries and evolution, should they decide to ask us for our support. Now, I would like to address how sometimes in the Star Trek series, they would make a false duality or false dichotomy out of disconnecting emotionally. They'd be like, well, we have to interfere on one side because if we don't, we're emotionally disconnected and we're bad people. But that's actually the problem. We don't need to emotionally disconnect and we don't need to enable. We don't have to interfere and we can't emotionally disconnect either. We have to stay emotionally connected throughout their whole process. We have to be there for them should they require our assistance. And if they absolutely let us know that our assistance is not needed, desired, or wanted, and they do not want our advice, then we should allow that. But of course, be present should they ever want it in the future. So we're not completely disconnecting from them in an emotional sense, but we're also not doing it for them. We're letting them come to their solutions from within themselves. We're asking them the right questions at the right times when it's asked for. But if it's not asked for, then we're again crossing their free will. We're crossing into their boundaries. We're not having good boundaries. We are not setting good limits on ourselves, and we are interfering with their development. They really need to experience the natural consequences for themselves so that they can find the desire, the reason to actually get through this on their own. They have to actually see themselves as the problem. They have to see their own thinking as the problem and then come to us for support, rather than seeing us as the bully that is getting in the way of them having their way. Because if we interfere, they're now going to see us as the problem rather than their own thinking as the problem. But really, they need to come to that place in their lives where they realize that they are the problem and that they are also the solution. If you enjoyed this video, please click like. If you'd like to stay up to date with my videos, please subscribe. If you would like to be notified via email whenever I release a new video, please click the bell next to subscribe. If you have any comments or questions or would like to go into a dialogue about this topic, please leave them in the comments section below. I'm Nathan Martin with the Divine Pollination Hive and the UnityProcess.com. Be safe, be sovereign, be well.